So imagine you're trying to buy a house. Or, I don't know, maybe you want to acquire a business, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But instead of going to a bank and offering this massive cash down payment, you just slide a piece of paper across the table.
Right.
And on it, you offer 5 years of your patience and, some unused professional skills, a really high tolerance for risk, and a deep sense of mutual
Which
trust.
is not how things usually go.
Right. And then the person across the table just looks at it, runs some calculations, and says, deal. I mean, it sounds totally ridiculous, doesn't it?
It sounds like fantasy, honestly.
Exactly, because for all of us, a major transaction just feels like being shoved into this tiny, uncomfortable, incredibly rigid box.
Yeah, you're just a buyer.
You are defined entirely as a buyer, and you have this one specific credit score. And the person across from you is just a seller who wants a very specific dollar amount.
And hovering over both of you is a bank.
Right, this giant bank holding a stamp of approval, and you either fit their exact rigid criteria or the deal just doesn't happen.
It is the ultimate binary system.
Yeah.
We've completely surrendered to this idea that a transaction is just a zero-sum game, with these predefined, totally unchangeable roles.
Yep.
I mean, we've been operating inside that rigid box for so long that we don't even question his walls anymore.
Right. But for today's deep dive, we are fundamentally questioning those walls.
Oh, absolutely.
We're looking at this fascinating manifesto and product blueprint for something called transaction intelligence, and more specifically, this concept called computational agreement design, or CAD for short.
And what's wild about this source material is really how it's using artificial intelligence.
Yeah, because when we usually hear AI and finance in the same sentence, we just think of high-frequency trading algorithms trying to optimize money, right?
Right, just making lines go up faster.
Exactly. But this system is designed to optimize human agreements.
And that distinction, it just changes everything. Because if we connect this to the bigger picture, for centuries, society has been entirely obsessed with optimizing money just to scale up the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Banks optimize loans by making them totally standardized. Lawyers optimize contracts by using these boilerplate templates.
Just copying and pasting.
Exactly. They strip away all the human nuance because, well, nuance doesn't scale.
Right.
But this document argues something super provocative. It says that money is merely one language we use to express value. At its core, every single transaction is actually just the movement of value between humans over time.
The movement of value between humans over time. Okay, if we view it through that lens, our current model looks incredibly primitive.
It really does.
The manifesto actually calls our financial systems obsolete because they just rely on this assumption that money is inherently scarce, right?
Right.
And that these massive financial institutions always know best, and that all human complexity should just be flattened into these identical pipelines.
Which just doesn't reflect reality.
No, you want a building, go get a 30-year commercial loan. It doesn't matter if you're a 20-something tech founder or a retiring baker, you just get the exact same financial product.
Exactly. It forces vastly different human lives into a standardized mold. The foundational argument of computational agreement design is that transactions are not simply purchases, right? They are dynamic agreements.
Okay.
And to make that work, they expand the definition of currency way beyond just liquid cash.
So, what does that mean in practice?
Well, money is just one resource. Time is a currency.
Oh, okay.
Trust is a currency. Specific industry knowledge, your network of relationships, your patience, your future value. These are all highly valuable liquid currencies if you just know how to structure them.
Okay, let's unpack this, because it reminds me of going to a fast food drive-thru.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You order a combo meal, and you get exactly what's on the menu. A burger, fries, and a drink. No substitutions.
Right, you can't negotiate.
Exactly. If you're allergic to something, or if you only have $3 instead of $5, too bad. The transaction just fails.
Yeah.
But computational agreement design treats this transaction more like an open-ended culinary experiment. You aren't restricted to just the cash in your pocket. You walk into this massive kitchen, and you can cook with literally any ingredient you have in your life's pantry.
That's a really great way to visualize it. And if you think about your own life right now, it's worth evaluating your own hidden currencies.
Yeah. What do you actually bring to the table?
Right. If you had to negotiate a major deal today, what do you actually have an abundance of? You might be short on a cash down payment, but maybe you have an enormous amount of patience.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have incredibly high trust with the local community or some unused technical skills. In the traditional banking box, a loan officer assigns exactly zero value to your patience.
Literally zero. They don't care.
Exactly. But in an optimized human agreement, patience is a massive asset.
But wait, this brings up an immediate logistical nightmare, I think.
How so?
Well, if we aren't using dollars as the universal baseline, how on earth does a computer actually quantify something as abstract as patience or trust to make a fair trade? I mean, you can't deposit patience into a checking account to pay the electric bill.
No, you can't. Which is exactly why this requires a completely different technical architecture.
Okay.
What the source calls the transaction operating system. And it deliberately does not start with a financial spreadsheet.
Wait, really? It doesn't start with the numbers?
Not at all. The very first layer is the human intelligence engine. Before any numbers are crunched, the AI builds a comprehensive human profile for every single participant.
And reading through the source, this profile goes deep. I mean, it's mapping out long-term goals, personality traits, communication preferences, baseline stress levels, and negotiation style.
Yeah, it's incredibly thorough.
It even tries to map out family dynamics, health trajectories, and what they define as a legacy.
Because if you don't map those things, how can you possibly design a smart agreement?
Right.
Think about a hypothetical scenario. Let's say we have Marcus. He's an older gentleman who owns a legacy hardware store, the actual building it's in, and he wants to retire.
Okay, pretty common situation.
Very common. And then we have Elena. She's a young e-commerce expert who wants a physical storefront but has very little cash.
Okay.
Now, a traditional bank looks at Elena's cash, looks at Marcus's asking price, says insufficient funds, and the deal just dies.
Right, end of story. Have a nice day.
Exactly. But the human intelligence engine digs deeper. It runs an intake process to find the root causes, using its needs engine and its resource engine.
So it's asking different questions.
It asks Marcus, do you actually need a lump sum of $2 million today? Or do you just need, say, $3,000 a month in secure, stress-free income to cover your retirement?
Oh, wow.
While also ensuring that the store you built doesn't just get bulldozed by a developer.
So it moves past the symptom like, I need to sell my building for cash, to the actual human need, which is, I need monthly security, dignity in retirement, and legacy preservation.
Exactly. And the manifesto specifically lists dignity and reduced stress as core human needs that a transaction must engineer for.
That's amazing.
Then it fires up the resource engine to inventory Elena's invisible assets.
Because she doesn't have the cash.
Right. She lacks cash, but she has a massive online audience, a high risk tolerance, 40 hours a week of sweat equity, and a proven ability to scale retail revenue.
And this is where the system introduces what it calls the atomic transaction model.
Yes.
Because once you have all those needs and resources mapped out, the AI breaks the actual physical asset down into atoms.
Right. It shatters the whole thing.
Yeah, the source lists atoms like possession, title, debt, equity, cash flow taxes, and exit rights. It essentially treats legal and financial concepts like a big bucket of Lego bricks.
It's deconstructing the monolith of ownership.
Let me make sure I'm really grasping this because it sounds kind of messy.
It is a lot to wrap your head around.
So if we break Marcus's hardware store down into its atomic level, does this mean the AI could take the equity brick and give it to an outside investor, give the possession brick to Elena so she can run the store, and give the tax benefits brick to Marcus to offset his retirement income?
Yes.
Like, are we effectively bypassing a traditional commercial bank entirely?
You absolutely can. By separating the atoms, you decouple the rights from the obligations.
Decouple the rights from the obligations.
Okay. Traditional banking says Elena can't possess the building unless she buys the equity with cash she doesn't have. But the atomic transaction model allows the AI to say, let's decouple this. Marcus keeps the title and the equity atoms for now, giving him security.
Right.
Elena gets the possession atom, and she pays Marcus not just with a small amount of cash, but by applying her unused skills to boost the store's overall valuation, which in turn increases Marcus's equity over time.
And the AI uses something called the Opportunity Discovery Engine and a hidden value index to find those precise overlaps, right? It's constantly scanning the data, asking like, what value exists here that nobody is recognizing?
Right. It might spot that the building has an unused roof, which could be leased for solar panels, generating the exact amount of monthly cash flow Marcus needs, thereby lowering the cash burden on Elena.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It literally finds value out of thin air just by rearranging the atoms.
That sounds incredible in theory, but let me push back here. Human beings can realistically only juggle maybe 3 or 4 variables in our heads at once.
True.
So if we've broken a deal into 50 different legal Lego bricks and we're trying to weigh Marcus's dignity against Elena's sweat equity alongside like commercial zoning laws and tax
It
implications.
gets complicated fast.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want an algorithm printing out some bizarre, highly optimized Frankenstein contract. Like, how do we know a human court will actually enforce it? How do we know this isn't just a total AI hallucination?
It's a completely valid concern. If it's just generating random complex clauses, it is useless.
Right.
That's why the system doesn't rely on generative guesswork. It relies on an agreement compiler and a reality simulator tied directly to a massive legal and financial knowledge graph.
The reality simulator, I mean, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It really does, but its function is heavily grounded in reality. Instead of handing you one static contract, the AI acts as a compiler.
Okay.
It takes all the atoms, the legal constraints, the tax codes, and the human profiles, and it simulates 1,000 different possible agreements.
1,000.
Yes. It generates version A, version B,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to version 1,000. And it plays each one out over a timeline to project cash flow, tax burdens, and the probability of failure.
Oh, wait, I'm not sitting down to read 1,000 contracts, am I? Like, how does it filter out the Frankenstein ones?
By applying strict scoring metrics based on that knowledge graph, the AI constantly maps what it calls friction.
Friction. Okay.
Every deal has legal friction, tax friction, emotional friction. The system learns every time a real CPA flags a tax structure or a judge rules on a specific clause in the real world.
Oh, so it's always updating.
Exactly. It updates its parameters,
Yeah.
so it filters out the deals with high legal or tax friction and then ranks the surviving options using 3 core scores. The first one is the harmony score.
And the harmony score is mathematically measuring the overlap between the two parties, right?
Right.
Like, does version 47 actually align Elena's projected revenue growth with Marcus's need for stable retirement income?
Exactly. It's looking for mathematical alignment of timing and lifestyle. Then comes the crucial one, which is the resilience score.
Okay, and this is where it stress tests the deal, isn't it?
Yes, the reality simulator runs Monte Carlo simulations.
Which means what, exactly?
It means it throws thousands of worst-case scenarios at the agreement. What happens to this exact arrangement if a massive recession hits in year 3?
Wow.
What if there's sudden inflation? What if Elena gets divorced or the store's roof collapses? The AI calculates whether the atomic structure of the agreement shatters under that pressure or if it has the elasticity to just bend and survive.
So it might flag that, say, version 47 relies way too heavily on Elena's immediate cash flow, meaning it fails the resilience score if a recession hits.
Exactly.
But maybe version 81 includes a clause that pauses her cash payments and shifts more equity to Marcus during a downturn so it survives.
Precisely. And then it weighs all of that against the third metric, which is the human satisfaction score.
Human satisfaction score.
Because winning looks different for everyone.
Right, yeah.
If Marcus defines winning as legacy preservation rather than maximum dollar extraction, the AI scores the agreements based on how well they deliver that specific emotional payoff.
Okay, but this leads me to a major philosophical question.
Okay, get me.
If the AI is generating the realities, mapping the legal friction, running the Monte Carlo simulations, and scoring the human satisfaction,
Right.
what are the humans actually doing in the room?
That is the big question.
Like, are we just becoming rubber stamps for a supercomputer? Because it feels like we're letting an algorithm dictate our legacy and our dignity.
The manifesto anticipates that exact fear, and it is adamant about their human collaboration model. Principle 5 states, very clearly AI explores, but humans decide.
Humans decide.
Artificial intelligence is designed to amplify human intelligence, not replace it.
So the machine is just doing the heavy lifting of the permutations.
Yes, because you cannot calculate the legal and financial ramifications of 1,000 different atomic structures in your head.
No, definitely not.
The AI gives you a highly detailed map of safe, resilient pathways that you could never have drawn yourself. It might hand Marcus and Elena the top 3 most harmonious, resilient options,
Right.
but they still have to sit at the table. They still have to look each other in the eye.
Right, because an algorithm doesn't actually feel anything.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The AI discovers, predicts, and organizes. But human beings empathize, we imagine, we negotiate, and ultimately, we judge.
Yeah.
Marcus still has to look at Elena and say, I see that version 81 makes the most financial sense, but I'm more comfortable with version 42 because I just feel better about the pacing.
Yeah.
That final human intuition, the actual leap of trust required to sign an agreement, cannot be automated.
It makes total sense why the source material mentions real estate as the initial proving ground for
Well,
this.
it's the perfect stress test.
Yeah, because real estate is arguably the most complex everyday transaction normal people engage in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It combines massive illiquid assets, dense legal structures, heavy tax implications, and deep, deep emotional ties all at once.
So much emotion.
If your AI can successfully decouple the atoms of a property deal and satisfy the human emotions involved without breaking the law, you've basically built an engine capable of handling almost anything.
Which is exactly their long-term roadmap.
Yes, it is.
The document outlines version 5 as universal agreement intelligence. Like, they don't want to stop at houses or storefronts.
No, they are thinking much bigger.
They want to apply this transaction operating system to massive business acquisitions, intellectual property licensing, complex joint ventures, mergers, literally every way humans trade value.
It's massive.
They aren't just building a new software tool. They are proposing the birth of an entirely new industry. Not fintech, not legal tech. They are calling it agreement tech.
And that leads right to the ultimate North Star of this entire movement.
What's that?
Their core belief is this: the greatest deals are not found, they are engineered.
They are engineered.
When we rely entirely on banks, we are just solving for liquidity. We're searching for enough cash to make this standard, rigid box work.
Right.
But computational agreement design solves for possibility. It allows us to engineer value out of thin air just by recognizing and rearranging the atoms of human resources and human needs.
The greatest deals are not found, they are engineered. That is just such a powerful shift in mindset.
It really changes everything.
So, to you listening, the next time you are entering a negotiation, whether you're buying a company, taking on a new business partner, or trying to buy a farm, don't just stare at the dollar amount on the table. Look at your time, your trust, your relationships, your specific skills. Look for the hidden value, those invisible resources that the traditional system just totally ignores, because you have so much more leverage and currency than you realize.
And let me leave you with one final thought to mull over, kind of building on the concepts of that human profile and the knowledge graph.
Okay, I'm ready.
Imagine a future, maybe just 5 years from now, where your personal human intelligence profile, so your values, your risk tolerance, your unique currencies, acts almost like a digital wallet on your phone.
Oh, wow.
And before you even sit down at a coffee cup to negotiate a partnership or a real estate deal, your AI and the other party's AI briefly ping each other.
Like a digital handshake.
Exactly. In milliseconds, they analyze both of your atomic resources and constraints, and they tell you if a high harmony score is even mathematically possible between the two of you.
Wow. It's like a pre-flight check for human alignment.
That's exactly what it is. Imagine how fundamentally that changes human interaction.
Serious.
It could save you months of wasted negotiation, thousands of dollars in legal fees, and just completely transform how we choose who we do business with.
So we finally get to break out of that uncomfortable box and actually design agreements that fit our lives. What a fascinating look into the future of how we transact. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.